Hi, I'm Bobby Peer, and I'm here today with Mayor Al Morgan. Hi, Al.
Hi, Bobby. I always look forward to our monthly get
I
together.
love it because I love the education. I know I've been around a while, but
You're telling
I
me I've been here longer.
I just know that our public and my readers always can use a little bit more education. So I know that I guess it was in March that you introduced the budget,
Hmm.
and we're going to have the approval at the end of the month in
Right, the
April.
29th.
Okay. So, with that, can we dive into the budget a little bit and you can tell me a little bit about what goes into this $26.6 million budget?
Sure. Um, it's a process. It's a year-long process. And what most people think is that, okay, it's October, November, that everybody looks at the budget. Well, that's not the case. Once this budget is approved, we look at every line item. Jim Testa and Bernadette, they go through every month where we're coming up short, where we're saving money, because we can only transfer monies in November.
Everything is very regulated. So
Yes.
it's not like, I mean, I hate even using this word because it's fictitious, but you don't have a slush fund that you can just
No, no,
pass
not at all.
money from this
Not
department
at
to
all.
another department.
See, it was easier when with the Board of Ed, you can transfer money during the year, but
Okay.
you can't do that with local municipal government. But they look at everything, see where shortfalls are, where we're overspent, and when they can regulate all that. So our department heads all year long look at different things that they can save on,
Okay.
and different grants that they can get.
Okay.
And that's a whole different process in itself. You can't really get the grant until you've encumbered the money, and so but they look at all of that through the year. Now come October and November of that year, everybody, all the department heads really take a deep dive and see what they need for the next year, and we work off last year's budget.
Okay.
And it's a time consuming process. They do their job. They go to Bernadette and Jim, and they come back to the finance committee, and then we look through it, and then they go back for another round.
Okay. And I mean, I know you have your operating budget,
Yep.
which really is dictated by salaries and
80
benefits.
80% is of our budget is salary and benefits.
And that typically always goes up.
Always, always.
Always.
You know what the killer is though? Is insurance. The insurance went up 12% this year. I
Wow.
mean, and you're held to a 2% cap.
Right. So how do you make up for that? Is that through the grant money and
It's usually during the year you get savings.
because you're not eliminating
No, no,
services.
no, yeah, we haven't eliminated services.
So it's about it really leads into capital expenditures as
Yeah,
well. So it's the balance of the
yeah.
two.
Discretionary spending is very limited.
Yeah.
Um, it's a process that takes a long time, and we must have had 5 or 6 finance committee meetings. I mean, the first one they came was at 2.9%,
Oh,
and they whittled it down to 1.9.
and that equates to $87 annually
Yeah,
on a house market
right,
value of
right. Now
790.
that's the borough portion.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
what people have to understand is that the Board of Ed gets approximately 60%,
Mm-hmm.
the county gets approximately 20%, and we have the other 20%.
Okay.
So
I mean, you're not working with a lot of money to do all the services for your entire borough.
Right, that's correct. And the thing is, like this year we have a go out for garbage contract. Who knows that's going to come in at? So you have to anticipate what's coming. It's a very tough process, and I got to hand it to the department heads, Bernadette, Jim, and the finance committee. They've done a great job with this.
Great. And all this information is public.
All public. It's all on the website.
You can find it on the website if people are interested in looking at the line items and what the services are.
Last council meeting, we had a PowerPoint presentation, and it lays it right out.
Okay.
So when we go to adopt the budget, if anybody in the public has any questions, they'll be knowledgeable in what goes into it.
Yeah, and the people working on it
Yeah.
know it line by line, because it does get confusing with your surplus. If you have a surplus, you may not carry a surplus. But
well, yeah, you really have to.
Okay.
Because take for example, you have like Hurricane Ida came through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody says, "Oh, you'll get FEMA money." You usually don't get FEMA money for 2 years down the line. You have to have money in place to replace bridges. That we had to replace 3 bridges.
Right.
And you had to have the money to do that. Eventually, you'll get the money, but
and you can't really go out and bond on an emergency.
Well, I guess you could in an emergency, but you really to bond something, it's going to take a couple months anyway.
Right.
And you need that money now, and you got to get things rolling. So, you need bridges and roads that got destroyed. So you really do need surplus.
Yeah. So you did bring up FEMA, and I know our nation is in a little crisis right now.
A little bit.
How does that impact the borough? Is there a concern on your part on reduced funding?
I think on the borough part, it's negligible.
Okay.
I feel more sorry for people who work for the federal government where they could face hardships.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most of our funding, 90-something% comes from local property taxes.
Okay.
So, I mean, we may lose something maybe in a grant or something like that. And if that gets rescinded, you just don't do the project.
Right.
But all in all, I think it's negligible.
For
but
a town
it is
like New Providence.
Yeah, but you know what? It is concerning,
mm-hmm.
and I am keeping an eye on it. I'm going to be talking to Congressman Kane about it. I'm also going to talk to Senator Bramnick about the state ramifications.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I want to keep on top of it, but I'm more concerned about our residents who work for the federal government.
Yes.
So
yeah, I mean, it just seems like there's just a shift of importance, and it is very concerning.
But one thing I've learned is that when things like this come up, you can't overreact. You got to deal with the situation as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be prepared, but you know what? You don't want to overreact. So I hopefully that everything's going to smooth out in a month or so.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned possibly some of the projects that are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what your funding mechanism is for those projects, probably bond or, I mean, they're pretty large projects. Do you want to talk about some of the capital projects we're going to be working on?
One is the police department is antiquated. This building was renovated. It used to be a school, Lincoln School. And I think it opened up in 82. And, I think back then they probably had maybe 18, 20 cops at the most. Now we have like 32.
Wow.
With the chief and everybody. So, and everything is more mechanized. There's more equipment that has to be had. We have to update anything. Small things like if you windows going down the hallway, they're full length windows. Well, Homeland Security wants you to have high windows so nobody can see what's going on inside, or break the windows and jump in.
Right.
The jails have to be upgraded. We have women police officers now that need a separate locker room.
Right.
There's a whole litany of things that we have to address.
And that's in the budget.
Yeah, it's in the capital budget, which we will do following the operations budget.
Okay.
But the thing is, and I was stunned when I heard it, that the police station, by law, has to be the last standing building in the borough. So you can imagine what that means and how much more money it is.
Yes.
But that whole project, it looks like it's going to be $10 million.
Okay. That's just the police station.
That's the police. Now, the Public Works building, it's a whole different story. That a lot of that was built in the late 40s. They put an addition on in the 70s. And it's gotten to a point where all the vehicles are so much bigger and they're more versatile that we can't even get the big trucks into the garage doors.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's a need of new construction.
Right.
So I think we've all seen on TV General Steel buildings, and you get a good price for that. Apparently, we went out and got the plans. It's a turnkey thing. They do everything. They do the demolition, they do the construction, the whole thing. And that's going to be about $4.5 million.
So 14 million. And that will be a combination of a capital expenditure, a little bond.
It'll be a bond, probably a 20-year bond. It's not fair for everybody today to pay for a building that's going to last, 40 years. It should be spread out as much as we can.
That's represented in the budget,
right?
So that
right.
It's
in the capital budget,
incremental of the soft costs and the hard costs.
Exactly.
Because it's a project.
It's a project. But like I said, if we're going to do these things, I want to make sure that these projects last 30, 40, 50 years into the future.
And there's also maybe some road work involved in the capital expenditures this year. Always.
Yeah,
right?
Well, there is.
Yeah.
In fact, Union County just gave us $50,000, and we're putting that towards road improvements. Last 2 years, we've paved 88 roads in New Providence. So that's in there. Everybody's asking about South Street getting paved. It's actually a county project.
Okay.
And I think probably May it's going to get done.
Okay, so not the April.
Yeah, they were talking April, but you know what? They're still working at the Primrose School, and they're doing the utility connection. So it's let that settle a little, and you don't want to do it twice.
Right.
And then we have the Snake River Bridge, which is also a county project.
Yep.
And I went down there today, and they have the whole thing is demolished.
Okay.
And from what I understand, the beams are already made.
Okay.
And if the abutments are good, they can start rebuilding. So it's good. I'm hoping sooner than later.
Me too.
It's the weather. A lot has to do with the weather. So far, we've been pretty lucky.
Okay. I did hear the forecast is a little bit of rain, but
but I mean, like today.
Yeah.
We had rain in the morning, but it's been nice the rest of the day.
It's warm too.
Yeah.
So very good. Well, let's talk about something fun. Next week is it Municipal Government Week?
Yes, it is.
So there's a lot of events coming up. I remember this from last year, the Touch a Truck and library events.
I have my grandkids come for that. They love that.
Yeah.
So
every day there's something different.
Yeah, something different. I know Wednesday at like 10 o'clock, the mayor and council go down to the senior center and talk to the seniors.
Oh, okay.
Now, unfortunately, I have a conflict. I went down there today for a bingo, and I talked to them a little.
Okay.
But I go down. I go down about twice a month and talk to the seniors.
Yeah, you're good about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Awesome.
I'm one of them.
Well, I'll just tell my readers, go to the website. There's a full agenda for next week, Monday
Yep.
through, actually, I think through Saturday, because Saturday you have a coffee with the council,
Yes.
and the Historical Society will have the Mason Room open at the
Yeah.
library. So every day there's something.
Yeah, that Mason Room is incredible. Folks, if you want to know anything about the history of New Providence, go to the Mason Room and back in the library. I think I went there one day. I think I got lost for 4 hours just reading all this stuff.
Wow.
It's truly incredible, especially if you grew up here.
Right.
You know, the town has changed so much.
Awesome.
So, but one thing I do want to bring up.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say.
What?
Go ahead. The Easter egg hunt?
Yes.
Awesome.
The Lions Club, this is the 56th year, and they go out and do the Easter egg hunt. And we
It's
go
next
down
Saturday,
next Saturday at 9:30. Be there early because it's usually done at 9:33. But you know, we have a silver egg, a gold egg. Whoever gets them gets a chocolate bunny. But we go down to the Packer Club on Wednesday night, and we boil and dye 2,500 eggs.
Incredible.
And the Prestige Diner donates eggs, and you know, it's a good time.
It's the only town I know that does real hard-boiled eggs.
Well, I think it's actually easier than sticking stuff into plastic.
Yeah.
And it's environmentally friendly too.
Yes.
So
it's always a good time.
Yeah, it's a great time.
I've been there every year. I love it. And also it's a big town event. So all the rescue workers are there, the police, the fire department, the EMS, and lots of balloons, and the Easter Bunny.
And the Easter Bunny shows.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Al. This was
sure.
another fun conversation.
Always fun, and I'm happy to do it, and it's always great talking with you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bobby. And happy Passover and happy Easter to all our friends. And have a great month of April. Hopefully it'll
Looking
be
forward
warm.
to good weather.
Oh, from your mouth to God's ears.